Well, what they realized is that if you do something that turns that center of the brain on, those hormones linger for hours afterwards. So you're primed to learn. So if you can do that before content is delivered, those people are going to learn more. Full stop.
Welcome to Top 3 Thursday, your essential guide to keeping up to date in a world brimming with endless events and innovations. Top 3 Thursday is more than just a podcast. It's your personal informant in an ever-changing world of events. So tune in and don't just keep up, stay ahead of the curve.
David, how are you today? Thank you so much for joining me on Top 3 Thursday podcast. We so appreciate it.
I'm great. Thank you for having me. It's been a very busy week, so I'm excited to be here.
Well, I know you're extremely busy, and it was in the world of mental stability and wellness and all the above. I thought it was extremely important to have someone that has created a different approach to events. And you by all means are a event producer. You call yourself a wellness architect, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and I love that. I absolutely love that. But you have a very unique approach when it comes to when you engage with clients, and that's you incorporate wellness, mental health as part of the events themselves. And potentially you could expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, well, we use the term wellness architect because our thing is we aren't necessarily the practitioners. While if there's a boot camp or something of that, sure, we can do those because we've been to enough of them. But we don't actually, myself and my co-founder, we don't hold any official accreditations. And the reason being is that's not our place. We'd rather bring in the professionals to do that. So much like an architect designs the house, right? But that architect isn't doing the plumbing, isn't doing the electrical, isn't doing the this, that, the other, right? So your chef should be doing your food, but you should be talking with the chef about how this should happen. Your practitioners should be leading your wellness activities, be it the bodyweight boot camp, so that they can deal with people with limited mobility or injuries or things of that nature, and so that they can accommodate for that or be your experts. And the same thing goes for your meaning event. When you incorporate meaning and purpose into your events, if you're doing some type of CSR activity, we're not the ones who are going to lead that. We're going to bring in the expert who understands why this impacts people, why it makes a difference in people's lives, those kinds of things. And the same thing with our mindfulness. We bring in the right practitioners or we do a lot of that work ourselves because we think about the agenda when it comes to mindfulness. We think it isn't just meditation. People hear mindfulness and they think meditation. We think about being mindful of the attendee experience, and that's something that we hold in high regard because that really changes how an attendee experiences the event.
I love that. So when you approach and doing BD with some of these clients, and with your strategic approach, you're working with them if they want like an event. I want to produce a 3-day conference or whatever it is. Will you engage with that client without having those elements, or does it absolutely have to be integrated for your team to engage?
So we really think about there's a lot of people that hear wellness at events and they think yoga retreat, right? Or a lot of times I'll mention it to a hotelier and they're like, "Oh, let me tell you about our spa." I don't care about your spa because we're never going to use it. I've been positioning wellness as not the entree but the salt, because a meal is good, but you think about that piece of dark chocolate you've had with sea salt in it. You take that bite and it hits you and you're like, "Oh, this is so good." Or a nice steak or whatever. Things are all better with salt. Our approach is, how do we enhance your event and increase your ROI by leveraging wellness? Because of the basic human tenet that if people are well slept, well fed, well moved, well rested, and well connected, they're going to take more away from the event. And that's all we're trying to do, is we're trying to help people get more out of their corporate meetings and events, to drive those survey scores, to make them look like rock stars in front of their bosses, and leave people energized instead of exhausted.
I love that approach. You target when you're targeting events, do you target like, senior level directors of events? Or are you targeting a little bit higher up on the totem pole, VPs of communication, potentially VPs of HR, CEOs? Like, who are you targeting to really launch that platform?
Yeah, I would say at this point, yes, and the one of the things that's really interesting that a lot of people, unless you've been in events, don't understand is that the stakeholders around events are all over the place. I had someone who has been in the startup world for a while, and they're like, "Who's your ICP?" And I was like, "The person who holds the budget." And they're like, "What's that person's title?" Let me give you all 50 of them. Oh, yeah. Events don't fall under one particular budget from one company to the next. I mean, I led nothing but internal meetings and incentive trips at 24 Hour Fitness, and I was responsible for my budget, but guess who I reported to? The VP of salary, or a VP of comp. Sorry, compensation. So, but I was part of the compensation team. That was wild to me. And then when I worked in at tech companies, sometimes the CRO owned the sales kickoff budget. Sometimes the CMO held the kickoff budget. It depended, and so it's kind of a moving target. But in this industry, it is 90% relationships over anything else. So it really comes down to the people I get to meet and greet. And we also work with a lot of agencies and kind of white label our services so that people that are already built into the ecosystem, their client says, "Oh, we want to do wellness." And they're like, there's an expert for that. And they call us.
I love it. Okay. And we're going to get into the top three shortly. One more question for you. When you are pitching the wellness side of integrating into events, do you provide analytics? I'm assuming you provide some kind of analytics that show why and well, sorry, show why this is important to integrate. Do you provide that as well to the clients?
Yeah, that's a key thing, and I think that's something that's actually missing a lot of time in the wellness space. So this this didn't happen by accident. This wasn't a whimsical idea of like, and I used to work in data in the tech side of things. So analytics is really critical to me, and that's how I justified my job performance when I was the head of events at these data companies because when you work at a data company, there's a data culture and you're supposed to show your numbers that you did the math, right? So the way this started is we ideated it over the pandemic. We came up with templatizing the idea of kind of fitness focused meetings. It was more fitness and food in 2019, and then the pandemic happened, and I was just kind of talking it out with a friend of mine, who's now my co-founder. And then during the pandemic, I had my own awareness around mental health, and I went from the joke internally is our company name is Olympian Meeting. The nickname is Ohm. We've all heard Ohm, right? I
I
promoted
did
it throughout
not
the
get
house.
that. I freaking love that. Well, what a great brand campaign that is. I love that to death.
I'm the Olympian side, she's the Ohm side, and together we can work anything for anyone. But we ideated on this concept around wellness and moving out of just fitness and food. And so I tried it and I did it at my own events because I was still internally in house in the corporate world and a corporate planner. And when we did the same event, which was a company kickoff in 2022, our net promoter score, the average net promoter score, went from an 8.2 to a 9.4 by introducing these four key elements. That's why I thought, oh my God, there is something here. And everything we do is all backed by science. I'm married to a doctor. So I can't go out and say, I hope I don't offend anyone with this. Hey, here's some crystals, blah blah blah. If there's something that's evidence based around crystals, we're going to find the science around it because otherwise I'll never hear the end of it about wanting to be a wannabe wellness influencer from the medical doctor that lives in my house.
So you provide the analytics that show why the ROI needs to be in place and actually shows the importance of how this can increase productivity as part of the events and the meetings that you're executing.
Yeah, and we dug into the science. The like one of the things around movement and high intensity workouts is what happens. I'll make it real quick and easy. When you engage and flip on your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight, right? Your body goes into a mode physiologically where it's learning at its highest peak, evaluating if you're in danger or not, right? Like, am I going to die? Do I need to run? Do I need to fight? Et cetera, et cetera. So all these neurochemicals are being dumped into your brain. Your hippocampus turns on, which is the learning center of your brain, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, what they realized is that if you do something that turns that center of the brain on, those hormones linger for hours afterwards. So you're primed to learn. So if you can do that before content is delivered, those people are going to learn more. Full stop.
That's genius.
And that's what this is about. We have so much science now about how our bodies and our brains work. Why aren't we leveraging that to make our meetings more effective?
That's genius. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes millions of dollars being spent on having these conferences. And we just want the engagement, right? We want to make sure that our delegates are walking away with something that they can take back to their own teams or into their own workplace that means something to them for higher productivity. So genius. I absolutely love it. I'm drinking that Kool-Aid for sure. Okay, so
Drink the sugar-free Kool-Aid.
okay, there you go. There you go. Well, I think you might be talking the wrong dude, and I'll explain that to you in a second. But we're going to go ahead and tap right into our top three topic of the week, and obviously it's based around your specialty, your unique capability. The top three ways to incorporate mental and wellness integration into your events, and we David, we do it in a ascending order from a 3-2-1 standpoint. So we're going to give the number three way to incorporate mental wellness health into your events that catapult that ROI beyond where you could even imagine. So number three, David, give it to me.
Yeah, I would say movement. Get people moving. Set your room so that people don't have to sit in a theater style environment. Soft seating at the front of the room, classroom in the middle, standing tables at the back of the room. 9 times out of 10, it costs nothing to add high boys at the back of the room. And your attendees will be so grateful for it, let alone you don't have to get anyone's approval probably to do it.
Good. So I want to ask you a question real quick because when you first said movement, the first thing that came, because I've been to like Tony Robbins conferences and things like that. Hopefully it wasn't, I was hoping you weren't going to go in the direction of let's all stand up and give each other a back massage. You know, I get a little cringy when I hear those things, but I love this tactical approach of high boys in the back for people to stand up and other potential. Do you have a couple other ways to create that movement?
Yeah, I'd also say a reasonable agenda so that people can change where they're at between sessions. Let people mingle and get up, and so that they're not sedentary for hours on end.
And when you say an agenda that's a flexible, shorter sessions or breaks, and where there's encouragement to move to other areas, or what's the strategy behind that?
Yes, and I mean the truth of the matter is, if your stage goes dark, people are going to stand up. Very few people are going to be like, I'm just going to sit here the whole time. And you know what? If they do, maybe they need to, and so fine, whatever. This is really about empowerment of the attendees so that they get to experience the event on their terms. But creating those opportunities for people to get up, go to the bathroom, change their seats, change if they're standing versus sitting, sitting versus standing, those kinds of things just give people the opportunity to move around. Let alone, you could also do micro breaks in between sessions, where people just do things like balloon breaths or little shakeouts or whatever. But You don't need more than 5 minutes, and you can completely get people to check out of the last session, which is what you want, so that they can check in effectively for the next session.
Great. All right. I love it. And that's number 3, movement. Okay, great. Let's go to the number 2 reason why we need to integrate wellness and mental health in your events and meetings. David, give it to me.
Yeah, so the second one I'd say is mindfulness. And that is really about the overall attendee experience. You should also potentially offer some meditation or breath work or things of that nature. They're easy to do. You don't need much space. You can do them any time of day in any style of clothing, depending on if people are midday or whatnot. But giving people the opportunity to pause and be present, let alone thinking about how busy you're making their minds, and designing an agenda that's circadian rhythm friendly.
Okay, so I want to expand on this as well because I'm a huge advocate for meditation. Every morning I'm up, part of the 5 a.m. club. Robin Schwarm, part of that 5 a.m. club where I hit that hot tub, but then I hit that cold plunge right after. It puts me in that amazing state. But I am absolutely meditating with affirmations in that hot tub when I first get up to kick off my day. So when you're incorporating meditation and breathing and everything as part of your event, go back to the tactical side of how someone goes about, and I know that's your job to do that, but we want to hear some tactical ways to incorporate that really influence your guests to do it, as well as it influences the room for higher productivity.
Yeah, so what I like to do is offer mindfulness first thing in the morning, but it's not so first thing in the morning that in the sense that it's after people's workouts. So I kind of stagger it. I will do workouts of various intensities: bodyweight boot camp, run club, gym, yoga, etc.
So
right?
that's part that you'll pitch that as part of your events as well. That workout integration, correct?
Yes, absolutely. But afterwards, that's when we offer the mindfulness session at the very beginning of breakfast, so that if people, let's say, don't participate, have their own training, want to catch up on emails, whatever they're doing, right? If they want to come down and they're all dressed and ready for work or ready for the conference, they can come to the mindfulness session. But the same person who was in a bodyweight boot camp class who hit 160 heart rate or whatever can come to that mindfulness session as well to help bring their heart rate down and engage their parasympathetic nervous system, right? And those people can be in the same room and have that experience together, where they both are better prepared for the day in that mindfulness session. But you have to provide it at a time that's reasonable. Otherwise, nobody's going to attend.
How do you influence them? I guess the wrong word is educate them, because it's going to be impossible to educate someone the importance of what you're talking about in such a short time frame. So do you influence them? I'm assuming a couple things by making sure that the CEO is telling you how important it is, or a higher level executive, the importance of meditation or mindfulness. How do you influence him to engage in a session like that before a long day of meetings?
Yeah, we never call it meditation, for one.
Okay, great. What do you call it?
Mindfulness. It's either like mindfulness and breathing. What we've found is that someone who meditates will go to a mindfulness session almost every time. Someone who's never done a meditation session or a mindfulness session will be curious about it and will try a mindfulness session, but will be intimidated by the term meditation. Just making it a little more accessible helps people give it a try. And it should be a part of your agenda, and your description should be in there as to what the benefits are and what people should expect to experience. So just make it plain English. You don't have to say, we're going to open your third eye or anything, because people are going to freak out and be like, nope, I don't need that. But you can make it simple English of like, hey, calm your mind before a full day of session and optimize it for learning. Oh, okay.
Great. I love that. I love that tactic. Absolutely. And I know my listeners, ton of planners, they always ask the question, I want to make sure that we're providing some focus, right? great way to keep them focused. Using that mindful session in the morning to kick it off. So I love it, David. Okay, great. So we started from movement to mindfulness. I'm not sure if we have another M coming our way. I'm not sure, but the number one reason to incorporate mental health and wellness into your meetings and events, David, number one, give it to me.
It's meals.
Ooh, you gave me a third M. I love it. Okay, meals. Okay, good. Love it. Were you planning on that seriously, or
Yeah.
or did you just pull that out of your butt just now?
No, this is. I sat in marketing for a long time. This is all very curated.
Love it. Okay, meals. Meals is number one. Okay, hit me with the meals. Give it to me.
Yeah, so really, meals is about agency and providing an option for everyone. When people can't find what they want to eat, they leave. They leave your event. And people need to realize that. I went to let's call it an industry event a couple weeks ago. I went to the opening reception. The beverage choices were alcohol or soda, and the food choices were pretty much all fried. I left. I was starving, and there was nothing there for me that I wanted to eat or drink, so I left. They didn't even have non-alcoholic beer. I was shocked. Um, Meals is such a critical portion of what we do, let alone there are so many foods that fuel cognitive function. And you have this opportunity to provide these foods that are nothing crazy, blueberries and salmon and dark chocolate and walnuts and like all these things. All you have to do is put the labels on them on your buffet, and people will be like, or even if you want to, you could set it up separately and do a brain food bar, and people are like, oh, what's that? I want to go to that. And it's nothing that the hotel or venue doesn't already have, let alone if you give the list to your chef and talk with them about what you're trying to accomplish, they'll be like, great, let's do this. There's a chef I met not too long ago. He has some restaurants down in Florida, and he goes, man, I'm trying to change the way chefs think about food. There's a few of us out here that we have a great relationship with food, and we understand how it fuels our body. And look at Robert Irvine, right? The other thing is, this is anecdotal. It has not been peer reviewed, but I have gotten some feedback on it, so I'd want to share this. Is make sure you have protein at breakfast. I had an old coworker of mine, software engineer. He said he suffered from pretty bad ADHD. And the mornings he had a high protein breakfast, he didn't feel like he needed his meds, and he wouldn't take them, and he would have a great day. I told that story at a conference when I was speaking, and 3 months later, I got a message on my LinkedIn, and this woman said, I started feeding my son, my 13-year-old son, grilled chicken in the morning as part of his breakfast, and his grades went up.
Wow. I'm going to use that. My kids are the worst at carbs and lots of sugar. I have teenagers, about to go into college, and I live by that. I love that.
There's so many options. There's eggs, there's yogurt, there's all these things now, and like, let alone the like Ninja has made this like ice cream maker, and now there's all these high protein ice cream recipes out there where you can put like sugar-free Oreo stuff in it and Greek yogurt and freeze it, and you get this 40 gram of protein ice cream. And like, we have figured out how to get protein, and if you work with your chefs, you can have a great high protein meal at any time of day. I think the thing is, though, it's not about pushing your agenda in the sense that you can't only put out grilled chicken and steamed broccoli, because there will be a mutiny. You just have to offer both. You have to offer choices for people so that they might be. That's one of the lessons I learned from my time at 24, is that you don't know when someone's going to be on a refuel day, aka cheat day, or if they're really disciplined when they're at home and they're like, I don't care. I want the saucy ribs or whatever. Let them have the mac and cheese. You don't have to pull it from the menu, but you don't have to only offer it.
You are so correct when the meal that is being presented, and I feel, at least the events that I'm a part of, that I frequent or potentially also produce as well, that people really do look for those healthy options, whether they really do engage or not. I'm not really sure, but your explanation of the benefits. And I think that's what makes you so unique and strategic. You are really educating the team that you're engaging with, the benefits of the productivity that the delegates will walk away from, that will create exponential growth within whatever the conference was. And obviously, from a CEO standpoint, a shareholder standpoint, that's huge because they know that that money's going somewhere. So I love that.
That's my whole thing. Is I, as someone who worked in corporate, stakeholders don't care if it doesn't impact the business. And that's why this is a no-brainer, because making these choices, and the other thing with meals is that's one of those things that usually the planner has a lot of control and agency over. They don't they're not reviewing the menu with the CEO 9 times out of 10. And or having the CEO go, "Why isn't there more junk food on this menu?" It's just that's not a conversation that happens. So if this is important to you as a planner, this is the first and easiest thing you can do is impact your menu, and nobody's going to be upset at a bright, colorful buffet.
Love it. Okay, so there we have it. The top 3 reasons to integrate wellness and mental health into your events. Obviously, movement. Number 3, David gave it to us. Number 2 is mindfulness, and the number 1 reason is meals, menu. Let's keep it in the same M family. Absolutely love. I'm a 24-hour fitness guy myself on there. In fact, I probably should reach out to them as a sponsorship based on this podcast. Right now. So this is just for me because Anka, who we both know, was giving me crap because I asked her, so how do you kick off your workouts? And I'm curious, since you're a big workout guy, David, how you kick them off. So my brother-in-law, he introduced me to the carnivore diet. Have you ever tried that before?
No.
Oh, it's insane. There's this person on Instagram called the Carnivore Girl, and she's literally eating sticks of butter with just, you can't put any oil on or anything like that, and showing the science. There's always science behind every diet out there or whatever, but the carnivore diet, I tried that for a while. I left it super quick. The only thing that works for me, David, is the whole point of me bringing it up, is I got to pop my C4 and my Total War every single morning. I know it's terrible for you, but I can't get through it without it, brother. So if they put some C4 Total War on those banquet tables, your meetings would go through the roof for at least 3 hours, then of course fall apart right after that.
Do you want to know a fun fact about C4?
Yeah, hit me.
The original molecular structure of it was only one molecule off of meth.
Was it really?
That's why when people complain, like, I miss the old C4, because, yeah, there's a reason they miss it.
My gosh, I better remember that. All right, so how do you kick off your workouts, David? What do you do?
Yeah, so it kind of depends. So I alternate between CrossFit style workouts and traditional weightlifting style workouts, and so it really depends on when I'm doing my workout. But if it's a CrossFit morning, because I'll do my CrossFit Metcons in the morning because I like to do cardio first thing in the morning if I'm going to do that. It's usually just coffee and espresso and yeah, the likes. That's really usually all I need. If I'm working out in the afternoon, I will take some pre-workout. I use some stuff called Podium that has creatine in it. There's a number of CrossFit people who started this line called Podium. This guy named Matt Frazier. I don't know how familiar you are with CrossFit world, but he won the CrossFit Games 5 years in a row. So he is one of the most winning athletes of all time in the. He and a couple other guys and a number of other athletes all started this product line, and they have pre-workout and protein and whatnot. What I really love though is their protein is some of the like finest, smoothest. Sometimes you like shaker cup with protein and it's got that greasy mess on the inside. It dissolves so well that what I like to do in the winter, they have the last couple of years they've had a peppermint bark flavor, and I will put the protein powder in my coffee in the morning and use one of those whiskers and have essentially a sugar-free peppermint mocha with 20 grams of protein. So that was not my intention by any means. Like I hate when people promote products shamelessly. So that's just what I use. You use what you like. I'm not here to sell that. But like, have your protein in the morning. That's all that really matters.
I'm going to plug a product too. It's called ibuprofen. It's for when I play racquetball at the age of 55 for 3 hours. just to relieve. Ibuprofen is my saving grace at 55, playing racquetball for 3 hours every Saturday and Sunday. And the weights don't really kill me, but man, that racquetball with the other 90-year-old people that I play against destroys me.
Yeah, well, it's never too late to also supplement with some good monohydrate creatine.
Yeah, for sure. David, give me the name of your podcast so our listeners can also check that out as well.
Yes, it's called Return on Wellness, and it is 100% about the business case of integrating wellness into meetings and events. Because like I said before, if you can't tell your executives why it matters and why adding wellness to this event is going to impact the outcome of it, they don't care, and they'll deprioritize it and tell you to spend your time on something else.
Dave, we could not be more grateful for you being on the podcast with us at Top 3 Thursday. We're going to leave all your information. The Olympian meeting, say it with us, people. I love that. I'm going to remember that one for sure. I love that to death. But David, we wish you continued success with your vision and your mission of incorporating wellness as part of events. It's important, people, and David will give you the real analytics of why you need to do it every single time out of the gate. Productivity, that's what it's about. And Dave, we can't thank you enough for everything you did. I am Chris with Top 3 Thursday. We will see you next time. And David, we'll post all your links. Have a great rest of your day.
That's all for this episode of Top 3 Thursday. Remember, staying informed is the key to staying on top of things. You can find links to any resources mentioned in the show notes. And be sure to join us next time for more insights and stories that keep you connected to the pulse of change.